I want to just intro my daughter. This is my daughter, Emma. She's 14 years old. She's in middle school. She did lots of speech and debate. She's a rising freshman. When we were doing speech and debate, we wrote a lot of speeches together. One was on the history of the Mohegan Church. And this is that speech, and what an opportunity to present it to the Mohegan Tribal Elders.
A few days ago, I was examining a $5 bill. Just beneath the green seal, right below the words, Treasure of the United States of America, I saw a name I recognized. That name was Lynn Malherbe. Lynn Malherbe is the chief of my tribe, the Mohegan Tribe. I even have a couple pictures with her. As I stared at that small slip of money, I thought about something. Lynn Malherbe made history as the first Native American woman to serve as Treasurer of the United States of America. And she was also the second woman to serve as chief in my tribe's long history. As I looked at that small slip of money, a thought occurred to me. This signature almost never happened. The speech that I will be giving to you here today is a story. Not just any story. It's the story of how my Mohegan ancestors survived forced relocation. Not only did the Mohegan tribe survive forced relocation, but they also did it peacefully. Today, I will share how they accomplished this. My name is Emma Lowrey, and I was born in 2011. Being born in the 21st century, of course, I have never had to experience being discriminated against or removed from my home against my own will. But my people have. I'm a proud member of the Mohegan Tribe. My ancestors have important history. They solved a crisis not with bloodshed, but with the overwhelming power of the mind. To set the scene, we start off during the arrival of European settlers to the land of North America, before it was ever established as a country. Settlers arrived to this land with one question they never quite solved. What should they do about the native population already living on this land? As they expanded, settlers faced conflict with indigenous tribes over one thing, and that was land. Decades after the first wave of European settlement and the formation of America as a country, indigenous tribes faced conflicts with the government, and the US government was put at unease. To solve this conflict, the US government tried a two-part solution: assimilate the tribes who would go along and remove the ones who wouldn't. Anxiety started to build, especially in the years before Andrew Jackson's presidency. Andrew Jackson was the 7th president of the United States. But he was also a man who had an unreasonable hatred for Native Americans. He is the antagonist of this story. In my home state, Florida, the city of Jacksonville is named after him. Now, even though my home state celebrates this president, he was not a good man. Behind the praise and approval was a leader who signed the Indian Removal Act. The Indian Removal Act was signed in 1830, 54 years after the Declaration of Independence, and 30 years before the Civil War. This was a law that led to the brutal and dehumanizing relocation of many Native American tribes. Relocation that was completely forced. Not long after this law was passed, word of this was spread to my ancestors in Connecticut. Members of the Choctaw tribe were being forced from the Mississippi. Thousands died. Some Seminole people were being forced out of Florida, although many resisted and stayed in the Everglades. Over 3,500 members of the Creek tribe died during forced removal from Alabama and Georgia. My ancestors were hearing about what was happening to others, and they were scared. But instead of fighting, my ancestors seized an opportunity and thought on their feet to save themselves. In 1827, a Christian missionary woman named Sarah Huntington Smith saw the perfect opportunity to negotiate with the Mohegan tribe in order to convert them to Christianity. With the pressure of the federal government pushing for forced relocation, she saw that my weakening and impoverished ancestors were at risk of being removed from their homes. Sarah made a deal with the tribe. She would get the Mohegans land and build them a church if they gave Christianity a shot. My Mohegan ancestors thought fast and quickly accepted this deal, agreeing to play along with the idea of being Christian. Why did they do this? The answer is simple. Because if the Mohegans agreed to play along with the idea of being Christian, they would fly under the radar and avoid being forced to assimilate. Together, 3 Mohegan women named Lucy Ockham Tanacquidgeon, Lucy Tanacquidgeon Tecumwas, and Cynthia Hoskett came together with Sarah and deeded the land for a Christian school and church to be built. On the same land that these 4 women deeded, the Mohegan Congregational Church was built from the ground up by Mohegans in 1831. On the same land that these women deeded, the church was also founded. The church was the center of all Mohegan activity and was built on top of what is known as Mohegan Hill. But here's something even more amazing. The tribe, Lucy Ockhamtanaquidgeon, the woman who co-founded the church that may have saved our entire tribe, is the ancestor of Lynn Malerba, the woman whose very signature is on that $5 bill that I mentioned earlier. Lynn Malerba, the second woman who served as chief of my tribe, was appointed by former President Biden to serve as Treasurer of the United States of America. And during her time in office, her signature was quite literally printed on US currency. A couple days ago, I was examining $25 that my grandmother gave me in celebration of my 8th grade graduation. I had a $20 bill and a $5 bill. Comparing the two bills side by side, I saw the face of a president who tried to erase us on one bill, and the signature of a woman who proved we're still here on the other. That's no coincidence. That's Survival Inc. I'm proud of who I am, a member of the Mohegan Tribe. I may not look like someone who has Native American heritage, but I carry the stories of my people, and I carry their survival. The Mohegan Tribe, even though we have a church as the center of our activity, we never stopped being Mohegan. Yeah, some might think that because we agreed to become Christian in order to save ourselves, we might have lost our culture over time, but that's not necessarily the case. Our culture didn't vanish. It lived on through our stories, our ceremonies, our language, and through the Mohegan tribal members who passed them down. And today, that same legacy of Mohegan strength continues.